everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Annette, and today we're going to be making a really cool card. I'm going to show you a fun technique using this product. This is Simon Hurley's Astro paste, and I'm using the color is called Clear Skies, and we're going to be using this with vellum, and we're going to use one of GinaK's master layouts. I believe I'm using master layout 1. And we're going to do a technique onto the vellum, and then we'll make a card. So to start off, I'm going to be using these stencils, this one in particular. And this is from Tim Holtz collection from Stampers Anonymous. And this is called Mini Stencil Set 1. And you get these 3 stencils. Tim Holtz's stencils are a lot of fun, but I'm going to use this one today. So let me set this aside, and well, let me just show you. I want to show you some of the samples I did, because this you have to do ahead of time and let dry. So I'm going to show you the technique, but I already did this yesterday and had my vellum dry, and I want to show you a couple other patterns I did. So this is vellum, which is just like a transparent piece of cardstock. It's vellum paper, and I used, this was not Astro paste. This was, I believe this was solar paste. Yeah, it was solar paste, and I used this stencil, which is from Paper Roses, and it is called Halftone Hearts, and it's a 6x6 stencil. So I did the solar paste and smeared it across the stencil and let it dry, and it gives this really cool texture that shines, and it almost feels like plastic. So that was one, but this is the product I'm going to use today. This is the Astro paste, and this is the exact product I'm going to use today. I'm going to show you how to do it. But this is one. I did 2 panels yesterday. This was one of them, and I kind of messed up a little bit over here. I kind of got some Astro paste over here, and I didn't see it, and it dried, and so this is just going to be my sample to show you. But I'm going to be more careful today, so let's get started. And I do want to say, let me get this light out of this camera shot because it's giving me a lot of glare. There we go. You do want to have warm soapy water nearby. So I just have an old bread pan, and I have some warm soapy water, because you want to clean your tools off right away when you're using any of these pastes. So if you can't rinse it right away, get it in some warm soapy water, and it can sit, and then when you're done crafting, you can clean up your tools. So let's prep this panel of vellum, and what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to use some mint tape, and I'm just going to tape it down, pardon my hair. I'm going to tape it down kind of on this side, because we're going to do the paste on the left side. So let's just go ahead and put down the stencil right about like that. Actually, you know what? First of all, let's cut this down. I want to cut it down to the size of the panel, because this is a 1/4 sheet. So I do want to cut it down, and I'm going to use, this is where I'm going to use Master Layouts 1, okay? And then these are just a die set, and it has a shadow layer and the panel layer. So I want the smaller of these 2 rectangles, so it's going to be this one. That'll be my panel size. So let me go ahead and cut that off camera, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now you see I have this panel cut, and I like to do that before I put the solar paste, because once you do the solar paste, you know, you do have to let it dry, and when you run it through the die cutting machine, it kind of smashes everything down. So I like to do my cutting first. So now we'll go ahead and tape this down, and I am going to zoom in so you can really see what I'm doing here. All right, so we will tape that down, and that will position our stencil. And I just want to make sure, I'm just looking at the top and the bottom. I'm going to have you can see my black cardstock underneath. I'm just gonna have a very little amount kind of peeking out over the edge, and then we'll go ahead and take that down. All right, now I want to protect this side. That's what I didn't do yesterday, but I live and learn, right? So I'm going to just use a couple Post-its and protect that, because I want that to stay clean. All right, now we're ready to roll. So here is the Astro paste, and again, this is in Clear Skies, and it's really, really pretty. It's very gritty and grainy, sparkly. I don't know if it's glitter inside. It looks like it's glitter, but it will not fall off of your card once it's done. So you do want a scraper tool. I have this old Pampered Chef kitchen scraper. It's obviously not used in my kitchen anymore. And then you want to use some kind of a spatula or a palette knife, and just you want to get some of your paste on there. And with vellum, a tip I do want to say, you want to go light on the paste, because these are full of moisture and your paper's going to curl. So you do want to use a very thin layer of paste, and you just want to put it on. And I found that if I put a little bit at the top, a little in the middle, and a little down towards the bottom, when I run my scraper, then it usually will hit everywhere. And then you just take your scraper tool, and starting at the top, you just pull it down. And then if you've missed some spots, just kind of angle your scraper down a little bit more towards the paper and scrape it. All right, and then this leftover you can put right back into your pot, because it's not being contaminated by any other inks or any other colors. All right, and then I'm going to put that into my soapy water, and I'm going to scrape this down, cap it real good, and I'm going to put this into my soapy water. Then we're going to lift the stencil, and you'll notice that the vellum is going to curl, and that's okay. When it dries, the stencil's going into the soapy water. When this dries, it will flatten out pretty much. So I'm going to carefully remove the Post-its and the tape. Okay. And you can see that is what we have. So I'm just going to set this aside to dry, and I'll use it another day. But let me just get this out of the way totally. And then I'll show you what I did yesterday. So this is the panel I did yesterday. So it's completely dry, and it's already cut down to size. All right, so we're going to make a card with this. And I do want to get rid of all of this. So let's get rid of that before I make a big mess. And then what I did was I pre-cut all of my card pieces, and this is all using Master Layouts 1. I had this out earlier. So I used, let me just get out the dies that I used. I used pretty much all of them. I can get all of it. I know there's one more. Oh, here it is. Okay. So I cut out I cut out the panel from the panel size, which is actually this one. All right. Then I cut out a black matte layer using the large rectangle. And then I cut another piece of panel size using this die here. I used pattern paper, and this is just black and white. It was just from one of my paper pads. And what we're going to do is layer that on top. And it just gives a nice soft look. You can see the pattern through it. All right, so that is how that's going to come together. And then I used these two dies. So this is a panel, rectangular panel, and a shadow layer. So I cut two pieces from that. So I did the matte in black and another panel. We're going to use this like as a band. So I did that in the same cardstock as this, okay? So hopefully you're following along. Then I cut out, the greeting is going to go onto this piece of vellum. So I used this scalloped die and to cut out that, which is very, very pretty. All right, and then we will have a black mat behind that. So let me get all these dies out of the way, put away. And we will start assembling, let's see, I have one more die here. Let's start assembling this card. Let me bring my silicone mat in here in case I need it for gluing. I don't think I'm gonna need it, but first let's go ahead and glue this together. So let me get this up out of the way. And I'm going to, I need to clear out some space. Hang on. Okay. Let's go ahead and glue this. Now, when you glue vellum, glue usually does show through. So I'm going to use tape runner. I'm going to use this tape runner from, oh, where is it? Here it is. GinaKDesigns and Thermal Web. I love this tape runner. So we're going to put tape right onto this panel. And we're just going to go all the way around. And I just feel like you don't see the tape as much as you would glue. So, and then we'll just tape that, or adhere that down to the card panel and get it lined up as best we can. And you do have some time if you need to do it again, but you just definitely want to get it down. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to put this under my trusty heavy book just to put some pressure on it. And then we'll go ahead and glue. Well, let's save that for last because we're going to do some stamping on that. Let's go ahead and glue these two pieces. Get my fingers working. My liquid glue here, and this is GinaK Connect glue. I'll just glue this down. And I'm just lining up. Make sure there's black margin pretty even all the way around. All right, so we have that piece. And then this is our matte layer. So we can go ahead and glue that down. So it's kind of nice doing it this way because you can then glue the back of the cardstock and not get glue all over the back of the vellum, because you're going to end up seeing that if you do it that way. Okay. All right. So that's what we have so far. So I'm going to set that aside and let's work on the greeting. I want to show you what I'm going to do with this. So when I die cut that greeting, this was the piece of black cardstock I used. So I wanted to save this and use it as a template because this has a lot of curves and it might move around in my stamping platform. So I just want to use the leftover, the negative piece, kind of as a template. So I'm going to drop the oval right into the space where it was cut out from, and just take your time and get it lined up. Just get it seated in there. And I may even put some tape down because I really don't want this to move. Okay. And then, let's see. Gonna need a couple things here. So I need to get some pigment ink. All right, so we have some GinaKDesigns Premium Pigment Ink, and I'm also going to use some Simon Says Stamp embossing powder. All right, so we're going to do some inking and embossing. And the first thing I want to do is find this greeting I want to use. So I think I'm going to go with this set. This is called Blooming Butterfly, and there's this stamp in here that just says thinking of you. I want to use that. So we're going to just get that out for now. And then from another stamp set of hers, I want to use this beautiful flower. This is called Beautiful Sketches, and I want to use part of this flower. So it may actually come over here. Now I'm going to tilt this because I cut this on an angle, which was kind of not a smart move on my part, but that means I have to be creative and stamp this on an angle, and hopefully when it's done it will come out straight. So I'm going to put this up so I can see a little bit better without getting my head into the shot. So that's probably going to be like that. And I think, let's just try it. You know what, if this is a total fail, I'm just going to die cut another piece and make sure it's straight. Okay, so now that we have this in place, we're going to take some anti-static powder and we're going to prep the cardstock. All right, and then we're going to take the pigment ink, and I'm just going to lightly tap the stamps. Okay, and then we're just going to press it down a little bit, not too much pressure. And we'll do it again. I can put a little more pressure on the flower, but the greeting I want to be very careful because I don't want to smush the letters together. All right, and then I'm going to leave this down for a second because I need to get a sheet of paper to catch the powder. Hold on. Okay. All right, so that looks good. So I'm just going to lift this up. Okay, let me get this out of the way. And then onto the paper, I want to go ahead and put powder onto the ink. Okay. And that looks really good. This technique, doing the white pigment ink and then fine detail white powder, just comes out so nice. So now we're going to heat set that. But first let me get this powder back in the container so powder doesn't blow all over the place. All right. Then we're going to get out the heat tool and melt the powder. So let me just grab a old clothespin just so I can hold it without burning my fingers. And I'm gonna have to do this off camera because I have a new setup in my craft room. I actually moved my craft room from downstairs to upstairs in a spare bedroom, and my outlet is not too close to my desk. So let me just do that off camera and I'll be right back. All right, so here is our heat embossed greeting. And I don't know if you can tell, but it has a shiny finish, and it did cool down a little bit. So now I'm just going to take a clean cloth and just rub it, gently give it a good rub and get that anti-static powder off. And you can even use the oils from your fingers. And you know what? It didn't emboss over here, but that, you know what? That's okay. It kind of just looks like a highlight. I'm going to leave it. I could stamp it again, but I think it's fine. It gives it a little character. All right, and so now we're going to glue this onto the vellum shadow layer, and then we will get this card put together. All right, I don't know if you can see. I think you can see that. Let me get in a little tighter. Okay, and then just want to make sure that your little scalloped edge is peeking out all the way around. Okay, that looks good. Isn't that sweet? I think it's so pretty. And then we'll bring the panel back in, and I do need to get a card base. Bring that card base in here. And for the panel, I wanted to just put this across like a band, and then we'll glue that right in the middle. And that's going to be a really cool card. So let's just go ahead and do that. Come out just a little bit. What's nice about using the master layouts is that these pieces work together. So this die cut, this matte layer is exactly the same width as the panel. So they just fit real nice together. And you can place that anywhere on the card that you'd like. And I'm probably gonna have to hold that down for just a minute. Put the owl on it. And while that's doing its thing, I'm going to get my card base ready. Let's wiggle him up out of the way. And this is just a piece of 110-pound cardstock that was 8.5 by 11 inches, and I cut it in half at 4 1/4 along the short side. So I cut it in half 4 1/4, and I'm just going to fold it over. And it'll be a top folding US A2 size card. That just fits in a regular envelope with no extra postage needed. All right, and then now we can glue this. And you can see, because we have that, you can see the glue coming through the vellum, but since we added that top layer, we're not going to see that on the finished card, which is exactly what we wanted. Okay. That down, and then finally we will add some glue to the back of this and add it to our card. Get that out of the way, and then this will be our finished card project right there. Isn't that sweet? I love the Astro paste. I love the shine, and none of that glitter is falling off. That is not going anywhere. And the vellum lets you see the pattern paper underneath, which I really love that. I love that effect. So this is a really beautiful card. You can use this as thinking of you, or if somebody's going through a rough time, or just because, sometimes you don't need a reason to send someone a card. It's always a nice surprise to get a piece of mail in the card that isn't a bill. So think about that. Make cards and send them. So there you have it. This is my finished card project for today. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe. I put a video up every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'd love to have you join. So until next time, have a great week.